Today, I want to take a look at a brand new form for small business, for all businesses. It's called the 1099 NEC, the non-employee compensation. Again, it's a new form, and it's taken part of the information we were reporting on the 1099 miscellaneous and moving it to the NEC. But before we just jump into the form and how it's changed, probably just a little bit of history of why. It's one thing to say, here's the form, but I think the other thing, I kind of always want to know why. So if I go back over 35 years ago, there was actually a 1099 NEC, a non-employee compensation, and there were several other 1099s. So when we look back at that time, they were looking at possibly electronics. They were looking at trying to get all the information they could on one form. So they started aggregating it together. As time moved on, and that eliminated the 1099 NEC back again over 35 years ago. So this is an old form brought back to life. So today our focus is looking at what happened, how is this created? So number one is that, as you know, with information reporting being electronic and deadlines, the 1099 miscellaneous with extension, you can go up 2019 and prior, you could go up to March 31st before reporting. A few years ago, the PATH Act, about 5 years ago, changed it, but gave the IRS time to program. And if you remember, even like the W-2s, they shortened up whenever the reporting was. They also held off credits that were refundable until February 15th. So as they moved the deadline later for you to be able to get a refundable credit on a 1040, now what this is an attempt is to slide back and make the requirement like they've tightened up on the W-2 for the non-employee compensation, which is a highly non-compliant area. But the big thing was actually dealing with the dates. So right here, I'm gonna look at last year, and I'm going to highlight this. It's a 1099 miscellaneous for 2019. This is what we did last year. Old law, and then we're going to end up with a new law. So we're going to transition this. So what happened was that we had this line here called box 7, right there, non-employee compensation. Well, that was with all these other boxes, and some of these other boxes, the information was not ready by January 31st. So, or actually, it's due February 1st for this new form. So what they did is they pulled this box off of the 19 return, and I'm going to slide over here the new 2020 non-employee compensation. Kind of line them up here together. And so what I have here is we have a new form. This is in 2020. Let me be consistent here. I'm going to highlight that. And then we got a non-employee compensation form. So literally, I'm going to take a different color marker here. And what we have literally done is we have taken the non-employee compensation out of 2019 right here, and we've moved it up to right there. That is in a nutshell. That is the new non-employee compensation. Well, that's the form. But now what I want to do, so all that happened to the 1099 miscellaneous, which I'll be doing under a different seminar, I'll be going through the detail on it. I'm going to take this away now. And what our focus now is this form. The question then, we need to know what went in the old box 7. See, it's just one thing to say, well, what was in the old box 7 put in the new 1099 NEC. But let's do a review. What should go on now? The 1099 NEC, which is very consistent with the old box 7 miscellaneous. So I'm going to go down here, and now we're going to focus, and I'll highlight that. I'm going to focus on box 1. So if you'll look here at box 1, what goes in there? And there's actually there is actually 4 requirements that need to be met. One is that whoever you're making this payment to is not an employee. 2, it's part of your course of trade or business. And what that means is that if I pay somebody to mow my lawn at my home, that's not trade or business. But if I'm paying somebody to mow the lawn at the office, that is trader business. One of the other of the 4 requirements here on line 1 is the fact that if it's greater than $600 cumulative for the year. So you may be writing them out $20 a week, every week for mowing that lawn. But when that accumulates to $600, what you have to do is issue that person a 1099 NEC by or before February 1st. So it's due February 1st. Well, as you can see there, that shortened up that reporting requirement from March 31st all the way back to February 1st. Big change. Also, I want to say there is no extension on the 1099 NEC. And when I get to the end of this video and I do a recap, I'm going to go back over. There is no extension. It's due by February 1st. So we've got to really think about our accounting and our software. So the important thing is you got to meet the 4 requirements. And I think I left out of those 4. I left out who to. It's to partnerships, LLCs, sole proprietors, anybody but a person that is a corporation. And there's some exceptions to that, but the general rule is you don't have to issue a 1099 NEC to like a C corporation. Those are the 4 requirements of why you need to report it on box 7. Not an employee, it's a partnership, it's an LLC, it's a sole proprietor, it's over $600 for what you have wrote checks for in a trader business. Now, who all does that include? And that is then who, and typically this is related to self-employment, but the items that go here in box 7 is some of the examples would be the person mowing the lawn. If I have a vet on the farm and the vet works animals and it goes over $600, even though there's medicine in that bill, I still have to issue it. It's for professional fees. It's for accountants. It's for attorneys. It's for services rendered. If you have a company truck worked on, and the major part of that is labor, then that labor, the whole thing, unless it's broke on separate invoices, all goes into that 1099 NEC. And I always say this, when in doubt, include it in the NEC, because you have written that trader, that other company, you have written them a check. So I think it's important that what goes in box 1 here is actually what went in the old box 7 on the 1099 miscellaneous. So that part of qualifying for what goes in the box has not changed. You know, some of the other examples, one of them is bartering. And actually in the instructions, it even covers bartering for services. You call a trade out. It would be an attorney trading out for meals at a restaurant. It would be, just any kind of, again, bartering or trade outs. It's the fair market value of that item. So again, a very broad list. It's for services. And you always think of services. It's for labor. It's for contract labor. Again, nothing has changed on what goes in now on the new 1099 NEC. Box 1, same set of rules that was for the 2019 and prior 1099 miscellaneous box 7. So as we go in and look through, you can see on this form, you may have federal withholdings here in box 4. So not a lot of information. You may have states. There's a dotted line here where you can report up to 2 different states. Now, while we're here in the new 1099 NEC, the reporting to the state is your separate responsibility. The IRS does not automatically report this back to the state. So whatever state you're in or your client's in, you're going to have to look at the state requirements, but you're going to have to provide the states this information additionally. So that is a change. So again, number-wise, what amount goes in here? We've covered the 4 requirements, and then the types of the examples we've covered. Then we may have federal withholding. Not normally. That would be if you got a notice for backup withholding. For example, if they gave you a wrong Social Security or federal ID number here on the left, and then state requirement. And then finally, if we go over to the left side, it's the normal name, address, the payors, ID number, the recipient's name, and address. So I think that's really important. So now what I would like to do, I'm going to slide this out of the way, And I'm going to come in and I'm actually going to look at an example here. So this is an illustrated example of how to do the reporting. It says complete Form 1099 NEC. It illustrates in the following example. Z-Builder, okay, that's the payer, is a contractor that subcontracts drywall. And I'm doing this example because I think this is really neat. This here is, say, whoever Z-Builder is working for will probably be issuing them a 1099 NEC, non-employee compensation, and then Z-Builder here is going to issue a subcontract drywall to the subcontractor, Ron Green. Sole proprietor, okay, remember our requirements? It's called one, it's a sole proprietor, it's NZ's trade or business, and Mr. Green is not an employee, and we're going to find out it's over $600, okay? During the year, going back to this example, during the year, Z-Builder pays Mr. Green $5,500. So we've hit our fourth requirement to issue an NEC. Z-Builder fills out a 1099 NEC because, again, they paid over $600. So what happens is the amount was paid, use my highlighter again, was $5,500. If you'll notice, the rest of the right side where our numbers go, and that's kind of, if I lay this pin right here, to the right is numbers. And most of the time, you're going to have a non-employee compensation, and you're going to have you may have a state where there's withholdings and state income. After that, then here we put down the $5,500, and then we put down Z-Builder's information, the ID numbers, Ron Green, DBA Y drywall, address, location. At this point in time, we have now completed the 1099 NEC. In recap, remember, what happened was we took one box from the old, box 7 of the old 2019 miscellaneous income. We then move it to the new form NEC for 2020. And number-wise, most of the time, we're only going to worry about box 1, which is what we did here in the example. Pretty straightforward. I think it's more important of the information that you're obtaining. And just kind of as a recap, remember, it is due by February 1st. And for this year, 2021. Again, February 1st, 2021. So soon, as soon as possible, you need to be doing this. There is no 30-day extension as we had with the miscellaneous. No extension. This is required. And the reason why, as I said in the introduction, it's in order to get that information in, just like W-2s, and all that information can be processed by the IRS so that they can start comparing it to the tax returns much faster. With that, I hope this helps. Please stay tuned. Thank you, and have a great day.